and I think that's the kind of player that breaks down in this defense. And hopefully we get Jeff back. I see him popping up. So when he's ready, there we go. Jeff
There he
Kerr,
is.
Yeah, there we go. Tried an ulterior method here. So.
All right, nice. So you're mentioning Slay and sort of the lack of consistency with the secondary, Jeff. I think it's understandable a little bit because of all the moving parts. And I was talking to Jody about the communication and the Fangio scheme. That's what it's based on. And boy, if you throw in a bunch of new guys, it kind of looks ugly at times. Isn't that sort of baked into it?
Yeah, I would think so, John. So, I mean, look at all the different pieces they've had on this defense since week 1? I mean, who would have thought Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham would be their linebackers at this point in the season? The guy they cut and the guy that they signed in August. And now you got James Bradbury in the slot, and people are questioning that move. That's the best option because are we really going to go with Mario Goodrich here? No. So you got to deal with what you got. And Josh Jobe on the outside is one of those pieces. I mean, the only constant on this defense right now is the pass rush. And luckily, they just haven't had any major injuries there. And Hassan Reddick seems to be fully at 100% because he has sacked yesterday and he's got that club off.
Real quick before you jump in, Jody, because you mentioned that with Mario Goodrich. What are we going to do? Go with Mario Goodrich? Well, why is he here, Jeff?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm because I'm in the camp of James Bradbury's an all-pro outside corner. He gets paid $13 million to play outside corner. I don't want to affect 2 positions. And if Mario Goodrich isn't good enough to play next man up mentality, Nick Sirianni, why is he here?
I agree with you. I don't know why he's here. When he was a healthy scratch last week, I'm like, whose roster spot is he taking? Why is he on this team right now? And I didn't see the snap count numbers for today, John. How many snaps did he end up playing yesterday?
That would be a 0. He played special teams only.
Yeah.
He and McCollum both
I
were active as defensive backs and didn't get a snap in a DB. Both of them played special teams only.
I agree with you. Then why is he here? Why is he taking up a roster spot right now? Do you really need a slot corner if you're moving Bradbury in? I mean, I guess he's here because if Bradbury gets hurt, but who's really going to claim him? No one claimed Nicholas Morrow, and look how well he's playing. So,
yeah, and you also have Ringo and Ricks who aren't playing.
It's
at corner. So you don't need 3 corners that don't play defense. I mean, Ringo is a big impactful player on special teams so far. And he's obviously got the ceiling as a potential prospect. And, Ricks and Goodrich, I mean, if they can't play and they're not impactful on special teams, what the heck are they here for? I mean, you got to churn in cornerbacks that can play if you have these injury issues.
This is what I'm wondering. Was Sidney Brown's absence playing a role in this? Because it seemed like, at least to my knowledge, he was going to be the backup slot corner before the hamstring injury.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So maybe.
And he might be the starting slot corner when he's healthy.
Maybe when he's healthy, that changes things and Bradbury goes back to the outside.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, I don't know that. I think that's what we're all rooting for, but I'm not sure that's what.
Yeah, it'll probably be piecemeal, but hopefully he wins the job as the season moves on. I think that's the hope, but it's a hope, Jody. And Howie's the one who said hope is not a strategy. Yeah.
All right. Now we're in the midst of a season and they're 4-0, and that's a good thing. And that outweighs everything else. But if we're taking a step back, 2,000-foot look, what would be best for the Eagles' future for Brown to be his natural position? Slot corner or safety? Is he playing slot corner just because they have a desperate need right now? And I'm not saying the Eagles should make their decision as to how they should use him based on the future, but I'm just generally asking, where do you think Brown is best served to play for next year and going forward, safety or slot corner?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the long-term position is safety, but for 2023, I think they need him to play slot cornerback right now. If you're not going to use Mario Goodrich, you're not using your third-team slot corner. Eli Ricks can't play the slot. I think he's strictly an outside guy. So I think right now to get Sidney Brown on the field with Terrell Edmonds, with Reed Blankenship. I think the best fit for him right now would be the slot, and then you can get Bradbury on the outside, and you can have Josh Jobe as a valuable number 3 corner. I want to point this out too. Before Josh Jobe gave up that touchdown, I thought he actually had a pretty good game yesterday, until the last second touchdown. But overall, like, Jobe has been fine, but he's definitely a guy that teams are picking on because they know that's the weakness.
Yeah, they're targeting, and we haven't seen that big time. Well, we did a little bit with Kirk Cousins, and he put up big numbers, but it was, they were down 20 points. Matthew Stafford, and he got hurt, as I was mentioning to Jody. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. And then you have to wait until Tua. But people are going to pick on Josh Jobe until he proves they can't pick on him. That's just the nature of this game. And the Eagles obviously are going to be tested down the road with the Mahomeses and the Josh Allens of the world. So they got to get this thing fixed and fixed pretty quickly. But to Jody's point, yeah, Sidney Brown's going to be the safety. Remember, even if they want to move on from Avonte Maddox because of all the injury issues, they have Isaiah Rodgers. They already signed him, coming back from the gambling suspension. So they have a plan long term in the slot, but short term, yeah, I think it's Sidney Brown or bust. And then I start, Jody mentioned, why not cross-train Jobe? You mentioned, well, Rex is an outside corner, which I agree with, and Goodrich can't play. What are we doing here? It's nitpicking because they're 4-0, but it's a legitimate nit to pick, I think.
All right, so let me further pick the nit. I was making my coffee this morning, Jeff, and I looked at the milk that I was adding to it, and sure enough, Derek Barnett's face was on the carton of milk that I had. And I wondered, did he even play yesterday? And I had to go double check, and oh yeah, he got 18 snaps. 18 snaps. I thought he didn't play. I thought maybe he was a healthy scratch. Maybe they didn't announce it. Maybe I missed it. He was actually out there on the field for 18 snaps. And after the game, there's a rumor going around that his agent is requesting the ability to seek a trade for Derek Barnett. I have one word. Please seek a trade. Please see what's out there for you. Please tell us someone is willing to give you 2 milk cartons with your face on it, as long as the milk isn't spoiled, Derek Barnett, and we'll see if we get something like that done. Why is he still getting snaps, Jeff?
That's a good question, Jody. I didn't realize he ended up playing 18 snaps yesterday. I saw him on the field. I didn't see him do much when he was on the field.
Did nothing. Oh, nothing. That'd be a
By
big
the way,
mistake.
who played well? I forgot to mention. I have to admit, Brandon played well. Brandon.
Yeah. He had a great game yesterday.
I should have mentioned that because he was.
Brandon. I actually thought Nolan Smith had a good game at first look. I thought he was.
I don't agree with you there.
Well,
he got pushed
maybe I'm
around
watching a couple plays there. I'm not talking about the play where he got beat on the pass coverage.
Well, yeah, they have drop and cover. Well, that's just dumb. That's not Nolan's small.
Yeah. You got to rush Nolan Smith there. Yeah. But besides that, I mean, yeah, I do agree with you though. I don't know why Derek Barnett really is playing as much as he is. I know the Eagles value him, but you can't.
Now, overall, Jeff, what did you think of the defensive line? Because Jody, expectations are off the charts for this group.
Oh, they're absolutely.
Jody was harsh. I don't think they were bad. I just don't think they were as dominant as usual.
I give them a B-. I mean, they have 5 sacks. I mean, I guess everybody.
No. 3 of those sacks were
Nick Morrow
from the linebacker position.
But as I pointed out to Jody, I mean, Nick Morrow ain't getting those sacks because he's Lawrence Taylor. He's getting those sacks because the guys up front are making it easy for him.
Exactly.
I didn't think they played poorly, but I don't think they played up to the expectation. I think Jody's right there. And if people are going to expect him to be the steel curtain every week, that they might be a little bit disappointed. But
that's how I would describe me yesterday. Disappointed in the effort of the defensive line.
Yeah, I thought they played well. Am I crazy?
I mean, they're crazy. It's I mean, look, they have 5 sacks. They had, I think, 17, 18 pressures. I got to double check those numbers again. But, I mean, they were getting the Sam Howell's a mobile quarterback. I hope
Yeah,
fans
he's
learned
more
that
mobile
yesterday.
than people think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
think the
is. And
Eagles were surprised by that.
I think they were
How
too. And if
yeah.
you watch like couple of Sam Howell's games, you throw away the Buffalo game because he's been more of the quarterback that's played the other games outside of Buffalo. That was an anomaly for Sam Howell, but yeah, I thought they played fine. It wasn't anything off the charts, but again, I think I agree with you, Jody and John. Expectations are really, really high for this defensive line just because they got 70 sacks last year and because they were able to do this. But this is the same expectations that, oh, John Fagan's not a good defensive coordinator. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
All right, they gave up 31 points to a team that the week before had scored 3. If not the defensive line and who we putting it on, it's all on the secondary. But they gave a
I
31
think
points
it's
to it.
more on the secondary from my standpoint. No, but they didn't play up to their usual standard. Well, I can't even say usual. 3-game standard, small sample size. Like I bring up Miami, you point out, like if you look at one game and say, all right, they were awful in Buffalo, but that's not probably what they're going to be. Similar to Miami scoring 70 points and then they get beat by 4 touchdowns. That's sort of like this league. And then believe me, Miami's going to play better. I don't even know who they're playing next week, but I guarantee they're going to play better.
I still say Eric Bieniemy's offensive scheme favors against John Fagan, Vic Fangio, Sean Desai, that type of scheme, just because he can get receivers open past the numbers, and if you don't get home, he's going to pick you apart. That was one thing that scared me about the game yesterday. Eric Bieniemy just seems to have that defense's number.
It's all crossing routes, man. So
It
you can
is.
see Andy. You can see Andy in that offense with a lot of what they do. Obviously, they don't have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill back in the day. But now that you brought up the coaching, I got a big nit to pick with Ron Rivera. Why aren't you going for 2, Jeff Kerr?
I was
Why?
thinking the same thing. Oh,
What?
but didn't you hear, John? The offense was gas. Well, don't you think the defense is gas?
That's
Right.
exactly what I said. Yeah.
And
I'm ripping that nickname off him. He can no longer be called Riverboat Ron. I mean, everything says go for 2 and try to steal the win right there. I think that's awful. That's an awful decision. The Eagles are the better team, the more talented team. They're at home. You got to try to steal the game, don't
I
you?
was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why doesn't this guy just try to end it right now? If he loses, he loses. They got nothing to lose. They weren't supposed to win that game anyway. They were
No.
huge underdogs.
Yeah.
All right, another nit to pick. And again, my apology, Eagle fans, because remember, they're 4-0. 4-0. But it doesn't mean we can't point out some things that we question a little bit. 11 penalties for 81 yards?
Ooh, yeah.
Are we still going to go with the narrative that less is more in preseason and prepping for games and practicing, non-practicing? Pretty damn sloppy. And it wasn't their young guys all making the mistakes. Oh, they're still learning to play in the National Football League. It was guys who have been around. And Dickerson, I love him, but Lane Johnson has perfected the leave before the ball is snapped move. He does it all the time. And it's maybe a quarter of a second. But when they give you the slow motion replay, you see that he goes before the ball is actually snapped. Landon Dickerson isn't as good at it. He gets caught. He goes early, gets caught, he gets flagged. He actually, I think, beat 1 or 2 yesterday that he could have gotten flagged.
There was another one where he left way early on the tush
Also,
push.
can I point out how much horse shit that is? You're calling a penalty, an offsides penalty on a tush push when literally Deron Payne's helmet is over the football.
Well, there are like 3 guys offsides. I saw the video of that. I'm going to try to get it and post it again. But boy, he left. To say he left early is being disingenuous. I mean, he was 3 yards down the field, and he's a powerful guy. But Jeff's right as well. There were like 3 Washington players offside where you could see the helmet. But I will say about the officiating, the penalties, and I think it was Bob Groats, our friend, who brought it up. Ronald Torbert was the referee. his crew calls a lot of penalties. I mean, statistically, and that held up. But the individual ones, like the AJ Brown penalty, to me was the biggest penalty. You can't do that.
It was a stupid
Yeah.
penalty for him.
Yeah. So individually, I agree with you. There's some sloppiness, Jody. But overall, I mean, if Torbert's out there, there were 18 penalties. You know, Washington got called for 8, I think. There's a lot of penalties when he's out there.
Yeah,
that's just
because of Torbert and that crew, a first quarter that went like I felt it went 20, 25 minutes. All of a sudden, that game took 3 hours and close to 4 hours because of Torbert.
Yeah, sometimes the crew is just, you know, they're going to call some penalties and you got to deal with it. But you can't, the taunting stuff, I mean, that's simple to avoid. Obviously, he was getting into it with Emmanuel Forbes. But why is Washington traveling Forbes with AJ Brown?
I guess that's their best man cover corner, but I don't agree with it.
I mean, he plays less than St. Just, who's bigger. He's a better athlete, but I just don't think he can play yet. He's a young corner. Maybe he's got some upside, but AJ was beating him like a drum, and they're following him around. I'm like, what are they doing?
I felt like the game. What was it? Was it 2015? They had when the Eagles had Byron Maxwell on. Was it Julio and they just let him get picked apart all game long?
Well, when the Eagles signed Byron Maxwell, he was the best, you know, zone corner in football. You know, cover 3, Seattle.
Yeah, play man.
Yeah, and they haven't played man. Yeah, I mean, there's some. Yeah, I don't know. All right, Nick Sirianni. Let's question him. 3rd and 11, draw play to Kenny Gainwell. Do you think it was protecting Jalen Hurts on the throw? Because that looked to me like he checked to that throw, and people have an issue with scoring too soon. I don't have an issue with it. I'm like, maybe if it's Patrick Mahomes, as I mentioned earlier to Jody, all right, then I'll start thinking about manipulating the clock. If I got a chance to score against the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell, I got to score and put it on my defense. I didn't have a problem with that with Nick Sirianni. Others did. Where are you, Jeff?
I was confused on the play, but I understood the ramifications of it. Does it feel like to you, John, they don't trust Jalen Hurts' decision making in the red zone right now?
I thought he was the one who checked to it. I don't know, but I thought that was his decision. I thought that was Jalen's decision. Now that wasn't a red zone play.
No, that wasn't a red zone play. But it feels like overall when I was watching that game, he's not throwing as many passes in the red zone as he did last year. Maybe that's just a different offense. I don't know, but
well, I think anytime you run a 3rd and 11 draw play, you're trying to fool the defense. I mean, you know, they're hardly the first team that runs on 3rd and long. And they didn't fool them, and it didn't go anywhere. But, you know, so, all right, you know, maybe you want to throw it on 3rd and 11, but they have had success on that play in the past. But everybody's hyper focused on Swift. He's got to get the ball at all times. They're going to run that poor guy into the ground if he gets the ball all the time. I mean, somebody else has got to
I think they've been managing him well the last 2 games.
He only had 14 carries yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, it's, you know, he doesn't have this long history of being, you know, Derrick Henry, 250 touches, or Ezekiel Elliott. It's about long term, not only short term. He had 28 carries in week 2, I believe. That's a lot. I don't know. I don't have a problem with them managing the touches, I guess, a little bit.
And John, on the should they or shouldn't have they scored the touchdown that gave the Commanders a chance to go back down the field? You're basing it as much on the opposition, saying it's not Patrick Mahomes, it's Sam Howell, and Sam Howell did just that, marching down the field and stuck it into the end zone on the last play.
With the help of
So
AJ Brown.
there is
calling a
20/20
penalty.
hindsight. Yes, understood that AJ helped him out with the take. Here's why I think it was a bad play call. And if it was Hurts checking to it, it's on Hurts rather than either the play caller and or the head coach. Whoever decided in the moment to do just that, throw the ball down the field and score a touchdown. Here's what I'm basing my decision on more than anything else. If Jalen Hurts did it, then Jalen Hurts has got to know that, and he's got to handle it. I got Jake Elliott. If I got a questionable field goal kicker, if I don't know that my kicker is going to go out and bang home the game-winning field goal, then yeah, I'm going to try and score a touchdown. I've got one of the most consistent kickers in the NFL who, as we pointed out in the first hour, goes right 50 plus, doesn't matter, goes right down the middle. I've got him. I'm going to give him the chance to win the game rather than open up the possibility. And you're right. It was not a great odds possibility. Sam Howell's going to march the ball down the field. And if A.J. Brown doesn't give him the extra 10 yards, he probably doesn't. But so I'm playing a Jake Elliott. I'm going to make my decision based on my team rather than the opposition there. And that's why I think it was a bad decision.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we dropped Jeff Kerr. So hopefully maybe Jeff can come back, but maybe not. We held him for a long time. But yeah, I mean, look, if they would have ran out the clock, but if you don't get a first down and all of a sudden then they can come back and they only need a field goal. I see both sides of the fence. The best case scenario is always drain the clock and walk off, right? I mean, you don't give the other team an opportunity. But I see too many teams try to get cute with that kind of stuff, and they end up not scoring. And even if they get the field goal, then you give the other team an easier chance and they go down and score a touchdown. From the Eagles' perspective, they're a really good team. And, I think they take a chance to score and they score. And again, if AJ doesn't taunt, it's probably not even in the conversation. They're not getting in a position to tie the game. So many things happen. As I said, the play before, if Reed Blankenship, you got to be a real situational master to realize, all right, he's going to catch this ball at the 1.5 yard line. The clock's going to run out. And maybe the player understands it and says, oh, Sam effed up here. I shouldn't catch this. And maybe we'll get one more.
You don't believe that, do you?
No, I don't. I believe he would have caught it.
He was trying to catch it. He was making every play.
No, that's what I'm saying. I believe he would have caught it and it would have the clock would have run out. So a lot of things went Washington's way, starting with the penalty. And yeah, you gotta rely on your defense, and your defense didn't hold up their part of the bargain, the complementary football aspect of it. But I would, all I'm saying is personally, if I'm a coach, I pay more lip service to that if there's a great quarterback on the other side. Like if I give the football back to Patrick Mahomes with 50, I'm not feeling confident. And you don't want to say that to your players either, because you want to say, oh, go out there and stop them. And he didn't even play that well last night against the Jets, who have a good defense. But certain quarterbacks, yeah, I'm going to give more deference to.
Yeah,
Sam Howell's not in that category yet, but he played well.
Understood. But in the moment, Sam Howell was in the midst of having a very good game. Sam Howell's career, you're not going to compare to Patrick Mahomes. You're right. They're two different animals. But on the day when you're making the decision, Sam Howell is in the midst of having a pretty damn good game. So I'm going to give him at least that much credit in making that decision. Do I want to turn the ball back over to a guy who's having a career day? And yeah, I know his career is all of 4 games long, but he's having his best day in the NFL. Do I want to give him the ball back? No, let me run it into the middle of the line, get Jake out there, kick the game-winning field goal, get the hell back into the locker room. That's where I would have handled it.
I got to look at the timing. We'll go to break and I'll look at the timing. But they would have had
2nd and 4. Washington had no timeouts left.
Yeah.
So if
they had to get the first down though. And 3rd and 4. Yeah.
Right,
mean,
but they take it down to even that much less if they run a couple more plays than how much time Washington
but you
did have
also
to go
don't
down the
need a
field.
touchdown. You only need a
Right, you
field
only
goal.
need a field goal
Yeah.
to tie it.
Yeah.
So there was a difference, but you could have run. If you get the first down, you run it down to 0. If you don't get the first down, then it's a little bit closer. If the Eagles' offense can't convert on 2nd and 4 with their offensive line, then shame on the Eagles' offense. He's McMullen. I'm McDonald. We thank Jeff Kerr for hopping in. Had some technical issues today, but he gave us some damn good information, as will our next guest. Yes, it's Game Day Franklin. He will be joining us coming up in about 20 minutes. Keep it right here on Birds 365.